Hi everyone, Phil from Tech for Techs here. Today we're going to be looking at these mice and this gamepad from Xtrike-me. We have links in the description just below if you're interested in purchasing. If you're a reseller, you can buy these exclusively at Goliath Computing. Before we go on to the main video, if you would do us a favour, click that like button, subscribe, click the bell as well. That way you'll get notifications of new videos and live streams we do. Again, doing all these things helps support the channel, and helping to support the channel allows us to release more videos, better quality videos, and more content exclusively just for you. Okay, as you can see here, we've got 4 mice as well as a gamepad. So basically it says they all look very similar packaging. They've got this red and black thing to them, as well as a window where you can actually see the product, which is pretty good because you know exactly what you're going to get, what sort of size it is, rather than it being in a cardboard box and you're never 100% sure if it's going to be the right size or not. The 3 here are sort of cut out so you can actually put your hands over them, so you can actually sort of feel the sort of size it is as well. Obviously you can't feel the material because it's got plastic coating over the top, but it gives you more of a rough idea what you're actually getting, which I do like. So most of them have all got some sort of RGB or backlighting. So for example, this one and this one have got 7 colour backlighting, and this one's got RGB, so it gives you a rough idea. But otherwise they're pretty straightforward. They've all got multiple different buttons. We'll go more into depth into those when we get them outside of the box. Okay, let's have a quick look what's on the back of the boxes and a bit about the specifications. So the first one we've got is the GM290. That's Golf Motel Papa 290. It's a gaming combo, so you've got your mouse pad as well as the mouse. It's got a high profile design with full palm support. It's got quick 4-step DPI up to 3600 DPI, 7 colours. It's also optical DPI, as we said, all the way up to 3600, and you've got 7 buttons, 3 million clicks, and it's got a 1.5 metre long USB 2 cable which supports Windows XP and newer. The next product we got is the GM512, and as you can see there, it is a mouse. It's sort of got a honeycomb design on there. It's got 7 buttons on it. It's got 6 adjustable DPI settings all the way up to 6400 DPI, so that's pretty good, and it offers the best hand feeling. So ideally it should sort of fit your hand quite nice. Your grip should be good because of the honeycomb effect on there as well, and no need to install any software or anything like that for it, so it should be pretty straightforward. Next up we have the GM216, that's Golf Motel 216. It's a high profile design with full palm and thumb support. It's got backlit scroll wheel and an enhanced grip. It's got 7 colours. It's optical as well. It's got a DPI up to 3600. It's got 7 buttons, and it's got a switch rating of 3 million clicks, and it's got 7 backlight colours as well. It's USB 2 and also 1.5 metres long cable with a weight of 130 grams, and it supports Windows XP and newer. Okay, this one is the GM215, that's Golf Motel 215. It's got ergonomic design for better grip, adjustable DPI, 4 resolutions from 1200 up to 7200. It's got 7 mouse buttons, multicolour LED, dynamic backlight, compatible Windows XP and above. Okay, next up we've got the GP45, that means Golf Papa for gamepad 45. It is wireless, it's multi-compatible or multi-platform it says, so it's wireless, as we said, built-in battery included, as well as a smartphone clip. You've got a wireless mode X input available on PC, wireless version 2.1. It's got 15 buttons. It's either wireless or wired, so you don't have to use it wireless. Battery capacity is 350 milliamps. The cable length is 1 meter. Its compatibility is Android, PS3, PC, D input and X input, and it's also got smartphone clip size of 8.5 centimeters. Okay, so this is what's in the box. First of all, we've got a manual, which is really important because it tells you how to plug it in, and that's about it. And it tells you about don't stick it in water and pretty useless stuff like that. Next, you've got the actual mouse mat or mouse pad or whatever you want to call it, gaming pad. You've got that here. It does look quite nice. It's got their logo. It's on there, so Xtrike-me. It's sort of braided around the edges. It's a soft mat, so it's flexy. It's not bad for a cheap mouse mat. The only grumble I've got is the size of it. It is quite small. Rather than being a small size, I'd say that's a mini size. And if you look at the size of the mouse on it, you ain't got much movement in the mouse before it's hitting the edge of the actual mouse mat, hitting that braiding. So you've got to have it on quite a high sensitivity if you want to move it around a lot. Otherwise, you're going to be hitting the edges all the time, which is not going to be very good. Probably top and bottom more so than the sides. But otherwise, it's nice to have it included. And again, for the price of these products, they're very low cost. Again, ideal for starters or people who are probably more of a casual gamer or semi-casual gamer, or they just like the look of it rather than going for a standard mouse. It does have quite a few buttons on here, so you've got your left button, your right button, you've got a button on the wheel itself. The wheel does go back and forth as you would expect. A DPI button. It's got one what's got a flame on it. It doesn't actually say what that does. What it does do on my laptop, as I can see when I do press that button, it minimises the browser I've got when it's open. Press it again, it opens it up. I'm not sure if that's what it's supposed to do, but that's what it's doing. You've also got a back and forward button on the side as well. Obviously, depending on the game you're playing, the software you're using, you can obviously set each button up to do whatever you want. So if you want to crouch, jump, kneel, sit, change weapon, whatever, you can usually bind the actual buttons on the mouse in the game itself in most cases. It does have a DPI setting on there, so the DPI button does seem to, well, change the DPI, so it makes it different sensitivities between 1200 up to 3600 DPI. When you do press the DPI button, you'll probably notice the mouse flashes red, including the logo as well as the lighting effect, which sort of goes around there. It's sort of a horseshoe shape is probably the best way of putting it. And it's also got a bit of light on the wheel, not much in all honesty, not that you can really tell too much. But that changes the DPI. It doesn't actually change the colour of the lighting or anything. The lighting on the mouse is actually on a rotating colour basis. So it says it's 7 colours, but that means it changes from one colour to the next, to the next, and to the next automatically, and you cannot change it. There is no option, from what I can see, to actually set it on a specific colour, and there is no software you can download for this mouse to actually change anything or bind anything or anything along that lines. But otherwise, the mouse itself seems quite comfortable. It does have 2 glide pads on the bottom. You can see the information on there. It does grips pretty well. It does seem quite sturdy, to be honest, for the price. A lot of cheap things can be quite flexy, but otherwise, to be honest with you, it's pretty good. It's not too loud, and it does everything it should do for a mouse of its price range. Okay, so we've got the mouse here as well as the manual. That's exactly what's inside the box. So the manual is, well, pretty straightforward. It's a piece of paper which tells you how to use it, but it is, in all effects, pretty straightforward. System requirements, everything in there, and it tells you how to plug a USB cable in. So, but again, it's up to you if you really need that or not. Most people will never read it. Right, okay, so onto the mouse itself. It's got a braided cable, which is a nice touch, and as you can see, it's got some nice RGB effects on there. Now, when I say RGB effects, is that you can choose some different effects and so forth, but you cannot customize it yourself. It's all it is basically a button on the bottom, which is just there, what you have to press to change the different effects. For example, you can see, press it once, it's gone purple. And then it slowly rotates between the different colours. Press it again, and it looks like a, I don't know, a lighthouse, I suppose, where the light's sort of spinning around the central axis. And then you've got another one which is similar-ish. It lights up different areas, and it's sort of like a wave up and down. Press it again, you've got that sort of lighthouse effect again, and again you've got it goes off. Press it again, it goes to a specific colour, which is green this time, and then it flashes on and off green. You press the button again and you back to your multicolour options. So it does has a few different options on there for different colour combinations, but you cannot adjust it specifically exactly how you probably want it. There is no software for this either, so you cannot download anything like a driver or program where you can change any of the lighting effects. So what you see is what you've got plus the button on the bottom. Right, let's go back into the mouse itself. So you've got a left button, you've got a right button, you've got a wheel, which is also a button, and the wheel has got sort of like a rubber on it, which helps you grip it, so your hand shouldn't slide. You've got a DPI button as well there, and as you can see, when you press the DPI button, it does change the colour a little bit, and then it goes back to normal. You press it again, it goes to another colour, flashes, and then it'll go back to your set RGB effect, what you've chosen. It's sort of a horse shape effect on the actual LED light what goes round, and you've got this honeycomb effect here with also a mesh on this part here, so underneath it does look a bit like loads of miniature footballs in a way. On the left hand side you have got two more buttons as well. That's your left and right, sorry, your back and forward button when you're on a web browser. Again, depending on the program you're using, you can basically customize those to do what you want. So if you're playing a game, you can be kneel, shoot, or change weapon, reload ammo and stuff like that. There's no buttons on the other side, but there are slight grips on the side, so when you're holding it, it does allow you to grip it a little bit better. Bear in mind the grips are not anything like rubber, they're just basically moulding in the plastic itself. If you look at the bottom, again you have got that button, you've also got the honeycomb effect on the bottom as well, and it does also tell you about the information about the product, and it's got those 4 little glide pads, and this is the GM512, that's Golf Mic 512, or in other words, Gaming Mouse 512. As you can see, it also says on the top there. Just to let you know when you are using it, just to show you what it sounds like, it's not too loud and it should be pretty easy to use, and it shouldn't be that distracting for everyone else. But again, it's not the quietest, but it's not too bad considering. Okay, now we've got the GM215, which means Gaming Mouse 215. As you can see, this is the manual. It's pretty straightforward, tells you how to plug it in. It does actually give you the web address where to download the manual from, or at least the manufacturer's website, which you then have to put the model in GM-215 to find the manual, to find the software it comes with. So it does actually come with software where you can adjust things like pointer precision, the wheel speed, the fire speed. You can create a macro in there as well as change a few of the buttons as well, which we'll show you in a few seconds. But down to the mouse itself, you've got that braided cable, which is nice. It's a soft braided cable. You've got this splatter mark. It looks like someone's dropped some paint on it and it's gone splat all over it. But in all reality, I think the idea is supposed to look like someone sort of run over something with a wheel and it's made a sort of a splatter mark on it. It looks pretty nice and pretty unique. You've also got their logo on there as well, multicoloured around the side as well, and that sort of a U shape or horseshoe shape along the back, and then more colouring on the side as well. To change the light and effects, you can press the button on the top of the mouse just below DPI. It will change the effects. The first effect is, well, off. So the next effect, as you can see, it gives you sort of a disco-y effect, so the lights sort of flash and turn all the way around the mouse. And then you press the next one, it does a similar sort of thing in a slightly different style. And then press it again, it goes back to that RGB multi-coloured effect, which sort of fades in and out again. So that's pretty nice. Other than that though, there isn't much in the way of changing the lighting effects on here. You can't really do a huge amount, unfortunately, so you're pretty much stuck with what you've got on here. So you've got those really 4 options on there of what you want it to look like. But again, in all reality, when you're playing game and you've got your mouse there, you've got your hand over it, you're not going to see most of the mouse anyway, so it won't affect your gaming. It just looks really good when you're not gaming. Okay, so the mouse itself though, you've got the left button, right button, you've got a wheel which has got a bit of rubber on, which is a nice stepping effect on there, so it does seem to turn pretty nice. It's got a DPI button which will let you change the DPI between 1200 DPI up to 7200 at 4 different intervals. As I said, RGB button there. You've also got a backwards and forward button there as well. You can customize each of these buttons if you wish, with the exception of the RGB button in the software if you so for wish. But otherwise that's pretty much it for the mouse. It does have 4 glide pads on the bottom. You can obviously see the optical laser on the bottom as well, and then it tells you the information about the mouse, so it gives you a rough idea. Just to let you know what it sounds like when you're using it. So the wheel itself is pretty quiet, and the rest of it does make a bit of a clicky noise, but it's not too bad to be honest, especially for the price point this is. Okay, so this is the software. Isn't probably the best software in the world, but it gives you a lot of the options that you'll probably need. In most cases, people install software, they never use it again, in all honesty. So some people will class it as bloatware, but that's up to you if you install it. It's not necessarily needed. It's just if you wanted to change some of these options, but in all reality, if you're playing specific games or using software, you can usually customize these buttons in the gaming software you're using anyway. But you can click on, for example, number 6, so DPI loop. You can click on it and change it to do different things. For example, the macro you can create, you can do a shortcut, copy and paste, media, events, different things on there. You can get that button to do. And you've got this macro page here as well, where you can create a macro. So you tap a few letters on the keyboard and then it will perform, sorry about the zoom levels there. There we go. It will perform an actual macro of your choice, so you can tell it to do a combination of different things, usually ideal for massive multiplayer on online games and stuff like that, so they can make combination keys as the basics to it, and you can insert them and record them, and that's totally up to you. Advanced setup, it lets you adjust the pointer precision, the wheel speed, the fire speed, and then you've also got your DPI options as well. You've got your 4 DPI options there, and you can adjust those up and down depending on how high you want the DPI to be. So if you wanted it more of a middle level, you can change the bottom DPI to be only 200 all the way up to 8000, even though the mouse, funnily enough, only actually supports up to 7200. For some reason it's saying 8000, but who knows. But anyway, you've got the options there anyway. Okay, so we've got the GM216 backlit optical mouse, as you can see there. The GM stands for gaming mouse. As you can see, it's got sort of a honeycomb effect on it, but let's just have a quick look at the manual first. The manual doesn't give you too much information. There is no software to download for it or anything like that, so you can't customize anything anyway, which is good and bad in one way, depending on how you like it. But the mouse itself has got sort of that honeycomb effect on it. It's not a see-through effect, it's just where you can see the RGB effect through it. So for example, one of the previous mice we've looked at actually has cutouts in the actual mice plastics, where this one doesn't. It's just like a light shining through sort of a glazed area is probably the best way of doing it. So there doesn't seem to be much of an option with changing RGB effects either on here, and not that I can see, nothing mentioned in the manual. It looks like you've got what you've got. It just rotates between all the different colours. You can't seem to set it as one colour, so you can't have it as red or green or blue. You've got to let it go through all these different options. When you do press the DPI button, it does go red though, but then it carries on with the cycle and keeps going. You press the DPI button again, it does exactly the same thing, so it doesn't seem to really affect it in any way. So the cable itself is braided. It's a nice soft braid, so that's pretty good. You do have this sort of shiny plastic effect here, which is going to pick up fingerprints pretty easily. The rest of it is pretty matte. You've got more of that honeycomb effect here on the right mouse button, tells you the model number on the left, and you've got some effects on the side as well. In bright lights it's hard to see what the lighting is, in all honesty. It's best in a darker room, but again, when you've got your hand over it, you're not going to see any of the effects anyway. You cover up pretty much 99% of all the RGB effects. But saying that, you do have your left mouse button, your right one. You've got a nice big wheel on there which has got a sort of rubber ring on it. You've got your DPI button. You've got a fire button there as well. It doesn't specify what the fire button's for, because in most games you usually use the left mouse button, and it doesn't seem to do anything specific other than what the left mouse button does. So I'm not 100% sure what the selling point on that one is. Yeah, I think it might actually press, it's like pressing the left mouse button 3 times in a row by the looks of it, because it's just closed 2 web browser windows in one press. So that might be what it is. So that's the unique selling point. Catch is, by the time it takes you to take this finger from here and move it all the way back to your fire button, you might as well just press that button 3 times. But again, it's really up to you. You do have 2 buttons on the left hand side as well, so for backwards and forwards. You can usually customize that in your games you're playing, but again, there is no software with this, so you cannot customize it through any mouse software, or at least what comes with the mouse anyway. So otherwise it's pretty nice. You've got 4 glide pads on the bottom, 1 in each corner. It is quite a chunky mouse. I class it more of a claw grip mouse myself than a palm, but it does say palm. It's got a decent palm grip on it, but I'm pretty sure that this is more of a claw mouse to me. And it's got this nice resting area for your thumb and fingers on both sides as well. But otherwise, nice looking mouse, and it's got a nice bit of weight to it, and again, for the price you can't really complain. Okay, so we've got the GP45. GP stands for gamepad, so it's the gamepad number 45. As you can see here, you've got a manual. The manual tells you a few bits of information about it, how to set it up and so forth. It does go a little bit into depth, so that's pretty good, and lets you choose between analogs, digital, and different options there. You've got a cable. This can be used for charging it, but it can also be used as well for using it as a cabled gamepad, so you could connect it up directly to, for example, let's say a PC which doesn't have Bluetooth, but this is Bluetooth enabled, so that means you can connect it up to smart devices and anything else which is Bluetooth. It does come with a little clip here, which a lot of people look at that and go, what the hell's that for? But basics is you clip that over the gamepad itself. Let's put it on there, if I can get it right, that way first, and then clip. There you go. It is a bit of a struggle to get it on. And then you get your phone, smartphone that is, obviously no old rotary phones, and you clip it onto that, and then you would connect this up to your phone using Bluetooth, and then you could game on it and use it as a controller for your smartphone, which is pretty good. You could also connect it up to a tablet as well, but obviously the tablet isn't going to fit on there, but it gives you a rough idea. So let me pull that clip off. There we go. Let's have a closer look at the gamepad itself. You've got grips on the handles on either side, which is nice, which is pretty good. It's got 2 buttons on each side on there. They are quite noisy and clicky buttons, and they seem to need a little bit of pressure, a bit more pressure than on most devices what we'll come across, for them to actually work. So I could see it potentially wearing your hands out a little bit with the amount of force you have to give it. The same with the other buttons as well. They're pretty much the same. Again, very clicky sounding, as you can hear there. You've got obviously the main 3 buttons like home, start and select there as well, and then you've got these little joypads on here as well, and again, little rattly noising, loud. It's not rattly as in the plastic's loose, it just sounds like they're just cheaper made plastic, so when they bump against things it makes quite a bit of a noise. It feels quite light, so I'm guessing it's not the thickest of plastic made out of, but it should be good enough for starting off playing on smartphones, and you're probably playing semi-casually on the PC or something like that. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing comparing to it, for example, like a PlayStation or an Xbox controller, what they come with, but again, this is more designed for, I would say, smart devices, and maybe using semi-casually on your PC or laptop. Thank you for watching this video, everyone. It's really appreciated you made it all the way to the end. Please make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and even click that bell so you get notifications of new videos and live streams. It does help support the channel, and supporting the channel basically means that we can release more content for you and also better quality content going forward. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.